Alright, today we will talk a little bit about how to start game dev. If you're a beginner, you're just starting out, you're a bit overwhelmed, you want to know where do I start, how should I start. I'll also tell you about my personal learning process and show you some of the projects that I made over the last couple of years. When you're a complete beginner or just starting out, I highly recommend that you start with 2D games, specifically 2D pixel art. You simply don't have the skills, practice yet to create highly detailed, animated 3D models, realistic graphics that look like the AAA and AA games you play. With 2D, you only have to worry about the X and the Y axis. When working in 3D space, the additional Z axis will make everything a lot more complex, especially when working with rotations and angles. If you already have skills when it comes to art and animation, and maybe you have some people that you work together with, I'm sure you can also do hand-drawn, high definition art. I'm thinking of something like Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight uses sprite sheets, but all the art is hand-drawn frame by frame animation. Like I said, if you're a complete beginner, you're on your own, I would stick to small canvas-sized pixel art. There's also a difference in pixel art. Games like Blasphemous use the pixel art style. But the canvas size in Blasphemous is a lot bigger. This type of pixel art might even be harder to pull off and more time consuming than hand-drawn art. Next thing, look at other people's work. Compare pixel art and animations you like to ones that you don't like, or ideally compare them to your own pieces. Analyze what it really is that makes you like a particular piece of art more than the other. Generally, for pixel art, clear silhouettes, clean and simple color palettes, and exaggerated movements when it comes to animations are favorable. There's a really good video on pixel art basics, color theory, and how to improve. I linked it in the video description below. Sprite, in my opinion, is the best software and animation tool for pixel art. It's not free, but absolutely worth it. If you got Sprite, I wouldn't know what other software you would need or what would be in addition, since you pretty much have everything you need in Sprite. As a simple UI, you can customize keyboard shortcuts to really optimize your workflow, and there's a wide range of tutorials. Not only is it easy to learn on your own, but you also have tons of material online to help you out. I started game dev with GameMaker. Back then, I was following 2-hour tutorials line for line. I was just copy and pasting code, and only after some time, I actually dared to change code and customize my projects. But that only happened after I actually understood what the hell the code actually did that I was copying. At that time, I already knew what ideas, mechanics, and features I would want to create, but like I said, I simply didn't have the necessary knowledge, skills, practice to turn those ideas into reality. Again, I highly recommend you to follow other people's work and get a feel for what makes good game mechanics and art. Also, another very important point, when you're playing games, or replaying your favorite games, pay attention and analyze what it is that makes your experience fun. Over time, you will pick up on certain patterns and things that are very similar across game genres that work across different game types. And all you got to do then is keep those rules and guidelines in the back of your head when working on your own projects. There are clear rules and patterns to follow when designing games and making game art, because the thought that just having a unique style or idea is enough to make your games good and enjoyable is straight up wrong. There's definitely a thing as good game design, systems and mechanics that work, that are fun, that are enjoyable, that kind of addict you to the game as you keep coming back to the game. And on the other side, bad game design, things that make a game frustrating, unrewarding, boring, etc. I also dabbled a little bit in Unity and made a The Last of Us inspired kind of third-person shooter prototype, but I kind of abandoned that project because I just didn't feel ready yet to work with 3D in a more complex engine like Unity. Learning C# won't be much of a problem since GameMaker Studio's coding language has a very similar syntax, but I just can't work on autopilot and with the confidence and speed like in GMS2. So I went back to GMS2 because I missed the simplicity and efficiency, but I'm sure I will come back to 3D in the future. In GMS2, I can also copy and paste my own code from old projects into new ones, which saves a ton of time. There's always the same functions I use for pretty much all my projects, things like screen shake, impact / freeze frames, setting up and moving the camera, hitbox systems. Like I said, I highly recommend that you start out with 2D pixel art, learn and master the basics, and improve along the way.